We're going to go ahead and take a quick look at some of the graphing functions available. There's graphing functions for the whole practice, and there's graphing functions for the individual patients. This video is just looking at graphing functions for individual patients. So here we have a sample patient pulled up, Amy Lazarus, and we're in her chart. And you can see she's had several weigh-ins and so on and so forth. So the graphs give us a way to look at these numbers graphically. So if you mouse over to graphs, you'll see, for now we've included 4 different areas of graphing. We can look at graphs of the weight, the body fat, various labs, and how the blood pressure is doing on the weight loss program. So to access any of the graphs, you just mouse over to the graph and click on the one you want. And you'll see the system quickly generates a graph showing this patient's progress. Mousing over the data point shows the values in the data points, and it's graphing days on plan so that it gives you a nice linear relationship between how long the patient has been on the program and the numbers that it's showing. On top, you have various options. If you want to print this for the patient, you can click the printer icon. If you want to export the data to a spreadsheet, a PDF, or you can look at the filters. So filters selects which data is shown, and for most of these graphs really what we've done is just given the ability to show one weight loss program at a time, so that if the patient's had 2 or 3 attempts at weight loss, we can show just the most current attempt. So the filters will default to the patient name and the program number, which is the latest program number. So if they're on the 3rd weight loss program, this will default to 3. If you want to change it, you could select the program number and change it. And this shows the actual data that's being graphed. So that's pretty typical for a weight graph. Similarly, you can go into the body fat table, and the system will graph what the patient's body fat's done over time. Now this is a little different because in addition to the body fat percentage, we added a graph that shows the lean weight and the fat weight. Anytime you have a table with more than one line, you can turn the different lines on and off by clicking on that in the key. So if you had 3 or 4 lines, say on a graph, and you just wanted to show one of them, you could click off the ones that you didn't want. This filters on the bottom of the show. We're still looking at this sample patient. We're still on program number 1, and it's showing only entries where the body fat was greater than 0. Otherwise, there's lots of blanks, and the numbers keep jumping down to 0. So that's pretty typical for a body fat graph. We've included a few different lab views. So the first lab view is for the cholesterol. You can see we have cholesterol on top. Triglycerides are in purple. LDL is in light blue. HDL is in green on this particular graph. But let's say you just wanted to see LDL and HDL. You could turn off cholesterol and triglycerides just by clicking. And we can see the LDL for this individual has been going up and the HDL has been going down. I don't have any data entered for this patient for risk ratio, but we can graph the risk ratio, and we can graph the liver test AST and ALT. And I've included a graph for hemoglobin A1C, and you can see we included a line for the diabetes goal to get it under 7.0. And then in labs, we've also included a graph of the TSH. So for a patient where we're working on their thyroid, we can see how that trends over time. And the filters work the same. And finally, we included a graph of blood pressure. So if a patient wants to see how their blood pressure is trending over time, we can do that. And we included systolic blood pressure, diastolic blood pressure, and pulse. And for example, you might want to turn off pulse if you want to just look at blood pressure. So that's just a quick peek at some of the graphing functions to help you quickly show your patients their progress.